Hey guys, welcome back to the Memory Palace lecture, and this is part 2. So if you're this far, you should have your 15 places pretty much locked into your mind now, where you're able to just go through and walk through your Memory Palace, and you can visually see, or you can imagine, and you know where each specific place is along your palace. Once you have that done, we're going to try and memorize the following list of information. Now what I have here is I have 15 different pieces of information. Some of them are objects, some of them are people. It might be a case that you don't know some of these people. If that is the case, just substitute in a different person. So here's the list. I have number 1 is Lady Gaga, 2 is bananas, 3 is Barack Obama, 4 cat, 5 shoes, 6 Jennifer Aniston, 7 computer, 8 car, 9 Batman, 10 goggles, 11 Tony Blair, 12 keys, 13 jumping rope, 14 Simon Cowell, and 15 is laser beam. Now in order to memorize this list, all we need to do is to link the items with the corresponding places or stages in our memory palace. And your memory palace will probably be different than mine, so you should try and link the items with the stages you have set. Having said that, it might be a good idea to just look at the video and look at the next few minutes as I go through how I would link my memory palace with those specific items. So here's how I would do that. Now let me just point out what the color coding is. The green is the stage, and then the blue is the item that I'm trying to remember, and the red is the actual place within the stage. So let's get going. Here is how I would link the items together. First off, I'll walk into my sitting room, which is the first stage, and the first thing that I see is Lady Gaga dancing on the big armchair. Her high heels are digging into the chair and she's making a complete mess of it. Then number 2, I'll walk over to the TV where there's a big bunch of bananas draping off either side, and there's a documentary on how people who eat too many bananas turn into a big banana. Number 3, there's a miniature version of Barack Obama on the mantelpiece, and now he's running up and back and forth across the mantelpiece waving a big American flag and shouting incessantly. Number 4 is below the mantelpiece I see smoke coming from the fireplace. Now somehow the rug has a big picture of a cat on it and has been thrown into the fire. So Missy, who was our next door neighbour's cat, is tussling with the rug to try and pull it out. Number 5 then, as I walk over to the big glass double doors, I notice that the handles on the doors are now 2 big shoes. So there's also pictures of different kinds of shoes all over the doors. And that is the first 5 items linked with the first 5 places in my memory palace. And now I move on to the next 5. And first thing I do is I move into the next stage, which is my kitchen. So I walk into my kitchen only to see Jennifer Aniston with her head in my fruit bowl. She's on a special diet where she's not allowed to eat with her hands, and she's only allowed to eat fruit. I smell something burning then, and I look over to see my laptop computer in the toaster. As I run over to get it out, I trip over the car that has been sticking out of the oven. The kitchen is a mess, but Batman is doing the dishes at the kitchen sink. I look over and I get blinded by what I see inside the fridge. I inspect further to find that it is full of glowing night vision goggles. So that is the next 5 items. Now that I have the second 5 items linked with the second 5 places in my memory palace, I move on to the next stage, which is the downstairs bathroom. So I head into the downstairs bathroom where I see Tony Blair playing with 2 rubber ducks in the bathroom sink. I tell him to take a look at himself in the mirror, but then I see that it's been crossed out by 2 big keys. The toilet is also out of commission. It has been tied up with a variety of jumping ropes. I hear noises coming from across the room. I look over and see Simon Cowell wearing a ballerina dress and singing in the shower. Over in the corner of the bathroom, cupboards are being cut into tiny little pieces by a big huge laser beam. So what I've done there, as you can see, is I've linked each item with a place in the memory palace. And then to remember what the items are, it's just a case of revisiting the same place in my mind, and then the information that I placed there will automatically jump back into my mind. Now here is a critical point. You must try this for yourself before it makes any sense. Simply reading through my example will help, but because these are my connections, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to remember all of the items by just reading it. So you really need to go through this yourself. And if you have been following along, you should have 15 places, which comprise of the 5 places in your 3 stages. So go back through the video if you don't understand this, and just to be sure, this should be 15 places, not 15 stages. Once you've written them all down, run through the sequence in your mind a few times. So again, this is just a summary of what we've done without looking at the paper. We want to make sure that you have those places locked into memory. You should have those 15 places before you try and link the 15 items to them. Then, once you've done that, take the 15 items that I've memorized in this section, or you can create your own, and link each one along a place in your memory palace. You must remember to try and make the images unusual and interactive in some way. So if this doesn't make sense, go back to my example and you can see how I try to make those images interact and be some type of unusual activity. Now you won't always be able to do this, but it will help tremendously if you can. So finally, using the memory palace system may be easy or difficult for you. Either way, it's going to require a little practice and time to really get the benefits from it. Now, once you are comfortable with the system, you're going to be able to learn huge amounts of information about pretty much any topic in quite a short period of time. So as you can imagine, this method alone is going to be hugely beneficial to you. And the reason it's at the end is because all the previous systems and learning methods that we've covered kind of come together and create the ability to be able to do the memory palace. Finally then, the memory palaces are a combination of all the techniques, like I just said, that we've learned in the How to Learn section. So if you're still having difficulty, go through the other sections and make sure that you do the exercises. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're not doing the exercises, none of this is going to make much sense to you. But once you do, you're going to be amazed at the capabilities that you actually have.